What is the characteristics of someone who is enlightened, fully awake? What's the end game for the spiritual path? End game, I love it. How do we know if someone is enlightened? A little bit here. There's language for a moment. The word enlightenment is not used by the Buddha, and it's not found in 10,000 discourses, for a start. So what happened was, a couple of centuries ago, when initially in Europe, the belief in God as the ruler who dispensed judgment upon people, there was the change, of course, which took place from a religious view of God governing the world and determining events to one of science and rational thought and its application there. And it got called the Age of Enlightenment. We are in the West is living in the Age of Enlightenment. Amazing. Anyway, I should bite my lip on that point. And then the wonderful translators, very quickly here, Pali, Sanskrit, Chinese and Tibetan, the four primary Buddhist languages, use the word enlightenment because that was the word. But the word actually is bodhi. And it does mean waking up. And the activity of that waking up meant that the shift which took place with regard to the teachings is one in which it was not necessary, this was radical, it was not necessary to have the big experience. It was not, so sometimes in spiritual practices it is a view towards having a very big, literally mind-blowing experience there. Then once having had this mind-blowing experience, one was liberated, one was quote-unquote enlightened, and then one got on with one's life as best one could. And the shift away was to open it out much more, that means the Dharma opening it out here, in which for some there can be that singular event which is transformative forevermore. Not to say it doesn't happen, it does happen. I've had the privilege of listening to accounts of this for the past 50 years. But also, it is acknowledged as well that there may not be any major experience, but there is a gradual expanding and waking up process taking place in which, in that waking up process, liberation really is obvious. And it's obvious in the countless numbers of manifestations of it. And therefore the dramatic, called the sudden, much discussion past 2,000 years on this, and the gradual, both, I would say, are truly worthy of respect. So some I say gradual waking up, gradual emergence, gradually the analogy of the lotus moving through the pond to flower. And for some, there's a real sudden dramatic shift there. It is not obvious with the Buddha and the night of awakening whether one could either call it gradual or sudden. It's just that some really profound insights came of human beings deeply concerned with suffering, deeply concerned with causes and conditions, the resolution of it, and the ways to resolve it. And out of those insights, 2,600 years later, there's a group of us sitting and still exploring those same insights. It's impressive, isn't it?